Hello friends, Bishop Tom Dowd here with another video of Catholic teaching in 10 minutes or less. This video, we're continuing our series, Catholic Marriage for Non-Catholics. This video is actually a part 2. In a previous video, this board may look familiar. You've seen it before in a previous video, quite likely. And I had mentioned that the subject was so big it was going to take more than one video. So here we are in part 2. Now, early on in this series, I had mentioned how there is a fundamental criteria in the Catholic belief regarding marriage. There's a fundamental criteria for marriage, which is that there is no marriage without consent. The couple, the two parties to the marriage, have to consent in order to be married, and there is no human power that can substitute for that consent. It's really a moment of great freedom and responsibility for the couple. But while consent is essential, it is not sufficient. Consent is not enough. You have to be consenting to something, and we believe that God has drawn marriage or placed marriage in the context of our human nature. And so that implies there are other minimal criteria beyond just consent in order to be able to have a valid marriage. For God to look down and see this couple exchanging consent, remember, it's not just the couple, it's the couple and God unites them. The two become one. There's a spiritual aspect to their union. Well, God is going to look down from heaven. He's not going to do it just because the couple tells him to, just because the couple exchanges consent. There are other minimal criteria. The previous video, we looked at the criteria from the natural law. Maturity is a positive criteria, and then there are 3 negative ones. These can't be there for a marriage. No polygamy, no incest, no impotence. But I also mentioned how, because human beings are social animals, part of our human nature is to be in societies, and marriage, therefore, is part of the social fabric. That means that human laws can add additional criteria. They can't dispense from the criteria of the natural law. These are always there. So there's no power on earth that can tell God, you made human beings wrong, we're going to improve on the natural law criteria that you put into human nature. I mean, that would be silly. There's no human power that can do that. It just doesn't work. No king, no parliament can tell God what to do with regards to marriage. But while they can't dispense from these criteria, they can add to it. There is a process called solemnization. And solemnization, that's basically a fancy word for the ceremony, or the mechanism by which in a society a couple is recognized to go from not married to married. Maybe it's a big ceremony, maybe it's something really simple like signing a document. Who knows? There have been so many cultures throughout human history. There are so many cultures in the world today. Who knows? But the point is, there's something that causes people to go from not married to married in the eyes of society. And so the laws of that society, maybe it's written laws passed by a parliament, maybe it's customary laws that have existed for generations. Regardless, the idea is that those laws can set certain additional criteria. I'll give you an example of how this is helpful. Under the natural law, a couple needs to be sufficiently mature in order to get married. They need to have sufficient emotional maturity, developmental maturity, for example. But how do you measure that? Right? I mean, there's no sort of maturity detector you can put up to somebody's forehead to figure out how mature they are. And having the feeling that maybe they're not ready is just not good enough for objective criteria. So what many societies do is they use their human law to set a minimum age. So they'll say, in our society, in our culture, you can't get married until you're 21. Another society might say you can't get married till you're 18. Or maybe you can't get married till you're 16 as long as you have your parents' consent. There can be all kinds of ways of measuring this. Now, it's possible that a couple who is 21 still lacks the maturity. The human law is not saying, now that you're 21, even if you're not mature, it's still going to be a good marriage. That's not what's happening. The 21 rule doesn't replace the maturity criteria, but from the point of view of that society, by making that rule, it weeds out a lot of immaturity in advance. Maybe there's a way to get around the rule, whether it's 21, 18, whatever. I mean, in Canada right now, if a couple, if they're 18, they can get married. Do you honestly think, do we really think that two 18-year-olds are going to be sufficiently mature? Like, is this something we're convinced of, that all 18-year-olds are sufficiently mature? So the point is, just because Canada says we have that rule and other societies have a different age, we're not trying to tell God what to do. We're just saying, it's the minimum threshold. We're calling you an adult. Okay, fine. You're an adult, and so you can do this. So that's what societies do when they create additional rules. It's to try and create a structure so that marriage, which is part of the social fabric, has the greatest possible stability. Because where marriages are stable, society benefits. So that is human law adding additional criteria. Now here's a little twist. The church is a human society. We believe that the church, founded by Jesus, is a human society. It is a people called forth from all of the peoples of the world, and we are united in a kind of spiritual citizenship, which we enter into through baptism. And because we're part of this society that spans the earth, that society, the church, is able to have laws. It's able to set criteria for the minimal elements of the solemnization of marriage. So that's why the church, for example, has its own marriage ceremony. We recognize, we love the marriage ceremonies from other societies. So if it's a society where neither of the parties is Catholic and they're getting married according to the rules of their society, it's a solemnization, a ceremony of their society, their culture, the Catholic Church will normally accept it as valid. As long as it's meeting these criteria, and as long as the parties are meeting the rules of their own society, yeah, generally, we will accept it. But, again, the church, why do we have our own rules? It's to protect the common good of the church society and to help protect the couple against perhaps choices that are unwise. So in the church, we have situations where we will advise a couple to slow down, put the brakes on their preparation for marriage so that we can help them to grow in their discernment, in their decision-making process. There are some circumstances where we will actually make a decision to say, no, this is a criteria that is a blockage to a valid marriage. We're using the power of being a human society. It's a human law. It's from the church, but it's still a human law. We're putting it in place to help protect the couple and to help protect the social fabric of the church. Now, those rules put in place by the church can dispense with. So circumstantially, it's possible to seek an exception to those rules. We can't give exceptions to these things. This is from the natural law. The church cannot authorize polygamy, for example. The church cannot authorize a brother and sister getting married to each other. But the church can authorize things that it itself has put in place. If the rule contra it put in place, it can authorize an exception. So what are those exceptions and how does all this fit in? Well, if you're getting ready to be married in the church or in union with the church, this is a set of details worth knowing, but we'll tackle that in future videos. In the meantime, God bless all of you.